Hi guys, it's Kyle from Regrettable Props, and welcome back. We're doing another tutorial from the game For Honor. We're doing Nobushi's face mask and hat. I'm going to be providing you the templates with one half, and what you're going to do is obviously cut them out, flip it for the left and right side, and then currently for the top half of the hat portion, on both halves, you're going to be cutting out a 45-degree bevel. It will be marked on where you need to do so on your template. All you have to do is just join the two halves together. There will be an M to indicate the middle when you tape your templates together, but you have to cut them out. And you obviously have to cut them out for the faceplate. You'll see we'll be joining the little darts here, and then the little gap by the eye hole / nose area will be connected. And all these templates are available on 8.5 by 11 paper, and there'll be a Google Docs link for a PDF format for you guys to be able to download and follow along with yourself. Once you guys have glued the two dart sections together, then the eyes, you're going to want to connect both halves of the faceplate. Currently you see on screen I have done that, and now we'll be moving on to adding the wood texture. And how we're going to be doing this, or how I achieve this, is by using a X-Acto blade and then afterwards heating up, and essentially we're just scoring the faceplates, just cutting the first few millimeters into the foam and not very deep. You guys can use a wood burner if you so choose. I went very straight for the most part and added some other variations to some damage to try and cover up some of the imperfections with the hot glue. Now I cut out a 2 centimeter wide strip of foam. This trim piece will be going on top of the outside edge of the hat. And then obviously you're going to need a couple pieces due to the size of the hat, and then cut off the excess, but leave a little bit for the time being, because what we're going to be doing now is rounding those edges and just using an X-Acto blade. I used an X-Acto blade. You guys can use a Dremel. I try to use as few as tools, just due to the fact that not everyone may have a Dremel / rotary tool. So we're going to be dremeling the outside, then the bottom side, and then the other side, so that way it's more rounded and you have the final product looking like such. And then afterwards we'll be scoring that edge following the circumference of the hat itself. So you want to imagine a dot in the middle, and having all those lines go in this direction of that dot, and you're going to be doing the top edge and then the side / bottom edge of that hat, because that's the texture that is needed for this type of material, since we're not actually making this out of that material that was used for the hat. Then we're going to be drawing a centimeter long line on the inside, and then we're going to be drawing some additional lines going from that middle section of that point, and we're going to be doing and scoring. We're going to be scoring these panels, the longer lines, and then there is a, like I mentioned, that 1 centimeter section like you currently see on screen that's being scored. Then there's some random lines following the same contour of the outside of the shape of the helmet or hat. And then once that's done, we're going to be scoring those panels, and then afterwards taking out some extra pieces, like a little bit of a V triangle piece near the outside edge of the hat. I'll put a reference picture to indicate what I mean, with a circle indicating those areas. And then afterwards we're going to be doing this, adding some 2mm detail foam to this. I used 5mm craft foam. You can use 10, but like you can see, I currently mentioned we're adding some extra detail by taking out a few random sections here and there. And here you guys can see, before we've scored everything, after we scored everything and glued both halves together, this is the final product before we put it under a heat gun or a toaster oven or an oven on broil setting. Now we're just going to be cutting out some random small thin pieces of craft foam, 2mm craft foam. Their added detail I once again will be showing on the screen. The pieces I'm indicating, there's no real templates for them, because you can just put however small, long, short pieces you want, but make sure that you have them to follow the same shape of the hat itself. It's not a helmet. I've been so custom making helmets from this game. Then you'll be finding a rectangle piece template provided, and we're going to be cutting out 4 pieces of it. So 4 pieces of the 5mm or 0.5 centimeter foam, and we'll be cutting it out to look more like a handle. There's a side profile that'll be included in the templates, but best description is I'm just carving away the phone. I'm going to be cutting a 45 like a triangle section out from the bottom, that way it can go on top. And once we've done all the carving, this is what it should be looking like. Afterwards, we're going to be covering it with 2mm craft foam, that way we can add a more scored texture to make it look similar to the same type of material that would actually be used in the helmet. There is no template for this 2mm craft foam that wraps around the outside of this piece that gets added to the very top of the hat, simply due to the fact that depending on how you guys carve it, you want to have a large taper section followed out by a little bulge. And I just cut out this 2mm craft foam. I cut some darts in it so it would wrap around easily without having too many wrinkles, and I did that for the top half and the bottom half. Then I used some other 2mm craft foam and cut out long strips and wrapped it around that indentation like you currently see. Before that, we are going to be scoring it once again to match the same straw-like texture of the material that would have actually been used within the game. I'm doing this as many lines as needed, making sure I get every area as required, making sure you, if you guys are doing this yourself, may have to take a couple attempts. Just keep continuously sharpening your blade. You want to be using just a tip because you want to not go too deep, but enough that it just scores the foam. And then for the very top of it, I'm just going crisscross and every which way. And then for this piece that I'm wrapping around currently, I'm just hot gluing it in place once it's done. And we're just about to attach it, just showing you once it's done after being scored, before being heat treated. If you guys don't have a heat gun, you can use a toaster oven like I mentioned, or you could also use a blowtorch or a lighter, like a blowtorch end of a lighter, if you guys have that. But here we go. Once we have it attached, we're just going to be attaching it at the very, top of the helmet, at that middle section where the two sides of the top of the helmet taper downwards. And now we're just going to be heat treating it, and you can see an idea of what the helmet, hat, and face mask looks like before. After we've heat treated, now you can see all the scoring lines we've done have really opened up and added a lot more detail. After this, we just gave everything a few good coats of Modge Podge mixed with black paint to save us doing a couple extra steps. I did not use any quick seal in this because there was no real major seams. Even on the face mask, I was able to kind of blend it in with the scoring. And after doing all this assembly, we're going to be painting it. For the face mask, I'm just doing some dry brushing of brown paint to build like the first foundation layer for this wood texture that we are trying to aim for, making sure you get the edges as well. Afterwards, I am using some white paint. You guys can, I'm not adding any emblems or special designs to the front since this is just the default. You guys can currently do so with your own helmet. And then I am dry brushing some black over some more damaged areas and around the eye holes to help give that texture. Now for the hat area, we're trying to make like a straw color. I mixed some brown and yellow together. For this first layer, I aimed for more of a honey mustard color, if you guys know what that looks like. If not, try and give like a slightly darker base color than what you want to be doing afterwards, because after this, but make sure you do the under edge as well as the outside edge. Then I mixed a yellow and a very slight amount of brown, and then we're just dry brushing this once again over all these areas to help build up this texture. I don't want it to be complete, flat on, fully even spread covering, because we want those areas that we had left with the black to stand out. And then I am using a brown to cover those detail areas with the 2mm craft foam, and that other area that we scored about 1 centimeter in width around the outside edge of the helmet or hat. And then the 2mm craft foam that wraps around the very top piece is also brown. I will also show once again a reference picture for you guys able to see what I'm referring to for the color schemes. If you guys feel like this doesn't match or work for you guys, obviously choose something different. Then I did a little bit of black wash, it wasn't recorded, but I also did some brown highlights and tones throughout and smudging it with my hands. And once everything is all done and painted, this is what we should be having so far, the final out piece. Afterwards, I used a elastic to connect the face plate to my head so it can be able to be secured on, and then I took some rope, which I had to paint brown. I did not have the correct thickness, but that's what I used. You guys should use, if you're able to, use something that's a little bit thicker type of rope, and I wrapped it around the top of the hat so it has that circular design that's around that top piece that we added on, and then there's the piece where it's able to tuck underneath my chin. That way it's able to secure the hat to my head. And once you guys have finished building this yourself, this should be the final product of what you guys have. Of course, you guys can go further, or if you feel like this is a good base for you guys, you guys can add to it. Anyways, this has been Kyle from Regrettable Props. Files and materials are in the description. And if you guys have any questions on building this, send me a YouTube comment, or if that's not working, I sometimes don't get a notification, send me a private message on my Facebook page that'll also be linked in the description, and post a comment on what you guys would like to see built, because I feel like taking a little break from all these buckets being made for For Honor and moving into a couple weapons. Anyways, hope you guys have had a good day, and this has been Kyle signing off.